What's up, YouTube? It's Brendan from Market Makers. Guys, I had to go on a road trip for a couple days to visit some family, and of course, everything started to fall apart on my trip. So, guys, let's talk about what's happening with Bitcoin. Is this the end? Is it going to zero, like Dan Penna says? Let's start off, guys. One thing that a lot of people probably aren't talking about in this space, but I do because I trade all the markets. I used to make my pro trades videos, which are now in the room. The NASDAQ fell apart. This is why Bitcoin dumped, okay? Bitcoin lost its key support, as you guys know. Anybody who's watched more than one of my videos know that we talk about the necessity to hold key support structure or else you have a downside. So the NASDAQ is officially in a correction. As of end of day Thursday, it's down over 12%. It didn't do a whole lot Friday, and then it started dumping again, okay? So if it gets to 20%, it's a crash. 10% or 10% to 20% is a correction, 20% is a crash, anything above 20%, okay? Bitcoin is basically a digital tech stock, okay? It moves exactly with the NASDAQ. I've done overlays with you guys for this. I don't want to focus on that for this video, but I want you to understand what happened in the crypto space. The big investment banks, as many of you know, I worked at one for 13 years. The big investment banks, they view this as a risk-off asset. When the markets, the safe havens, when the markets start to dump, okay, they pull liquidity from riskier assets. It's called a risk-off move. That's what happened in crypto. That's what's happening right now in the NASDAQ. These companies that are trading at 35x PE multiples, some of them over 100, some of them up to 400 PE. That's price to earnings multiples, okay? Crazy evaluations, which is why Netflix is down over 20%. Peloton's down over 85%. If the bloodbath continues, this is going to continue in the crypto market as well. So let's just spend a minute real quick, guys, and look at what's going on here with the NDX. The NDX is the NASDAQ 100, okay? So looking at the NDX here, we were holding here. I drew this out the other day. We have our impulse wave. This is our starting point for trend-based fib, 0.2, 0.3. And as you can see, we had a deep crab pattern here. We were holding this. We got a 250-point bounce on the 1618. Okay, we had to hold that ratio. And of course, we didn't. It fell apart. So let's go ahead and redraw this wave and get some price predictions because this has dropped a lot, as you guys can see. We are off of our high. Let's get the exact measurement here. Pretty close to the exact. Off our high, or just over just about 14% off our high. Okay, so again, it's a correction in the NASDAQ. Is this the beginning of the everything bubble? We gotta wait and see, guys. You gotta wait and see. We talk about this all the time in the room. So, all right, so let's go from our all-time high here. Let's redraw this. And I'm gonna bring this to the point X of the pattern and go up to that trend high right there. Look exactly where that fib lays out, the one fib. Okay, you see that. If you don't hold that one fib, see, I'm constantly advancing my waves, guys. I'm looking for a projection wave. I have a complete impulse wave, a retracement up to the trend high. I'm looking for the next impulse wave projection, okay, where it's going down. If this one fib doesn't hold, this is going to be coming down to the 1618 at 13,428. And guys, that would be a major correction, and I wouldn't expect anything rosy to happen in the crypto space at that point. But let's look at this. That would be, I mean, that's a 20% right there. So you're looking at a crash, okay? That's the NASDAQ crashing. And that toxicity has spread already to the SPX, and it's spreading all around the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones after I released my altcoin videos 3 hours later, the Dow Jones was up over 450 points. In the last hour, hour and a half of trading, it reversed and dumped 150, 200 points. I don't remember off the top of my head. Big 550, 600 point reversal. And that's where we are with the markets, guys. We are all of us that invest in these other markets, we're expecting a bubble, okay? The taper news, everything else, we're all expecting a bubble, but it doesn't pop until it pops. Is this the beginning of the pop? We don't know yet, but I can tell you right now, if we don't hold the one fib here, this is going to be very, very difficult for crypto to make any progress because you're going to see pumps, guys. You're going to see rallies, could come back up, could do this, could come back up again and come back down. But the way these fibs work, when you lay them out accurately, at some point, this number could be getting kissed, okay? At some point, this number could be getting kissed. So you want to hold this, what is it, 14,419. This is where you want to hold, okay? And you got just strong, big selling candles here. These are big moves, guys. I know people sneeze at 20% when it comes to crypto. In the traditional markets, these are massive moves. Let's go see how this affects Bitcoin right now. So, guys, as you can see, again, from watching my previous videos in the series, you got to hold that key support structure in the box. We did not hold the key support structure. Now we got a big candle. What does this mean? Does this mean we need a new box? Is this accumulation? Or are we going further down? Well, guys, let's look at that on another chart, and I'll show you where I think Bitcoin's going before we really see any type of potential move or potential support, because this isn't it right here. Let's go ahead and look at this on our weekly chart. This is our Navarro pattern. As you can see, we clearly broke our head and shoulders. We descended some. Again, guys, let's look at some projections here because this is all relative. Well, it's important at this juncture right now to see your up and down projections. We'll start back at the beginning, okay? You had your up projections right here. You nailed it on the 618, okay? No candle closes above it. 618 was at 66,530. As you can see, you got above it on the Wyckoff up thrust. And let's go ahead and get our downward projections. I showed you guys this on multiple videos, but I know not everybody, unfortunately, watches every video. Downward projections, guys. You can see we are not at our 1 fib. You were between the 618 and the 1 fib. Guys, so this is 32,973. That's where I think Bitcoin's coming to, 32,973. It's trading at 35x right now. And when I say that, that does not mean that Bitcoin can't do something else. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't rally here. It doesn't mean Bitcoin can't come up. But at some point, it's kissing that 1 fib, okay? It's between the 2 fibs. The idea of it finding support here and moving up without coming back to test the base, it's possible. It's possible, guys. But again, you got to watch that NASDAQ, okay? If you don't do anything else, just turn your TV on in the morning and see what the NASDAQ's doing, okay? If the NASDAQ's dumping, this is coming down. We have to hold the 1 fib. If you don't hold the 1 fib, you're going down to the 1618, which is 10,630. Okay, market structure target, lots of confluences down here. Again, doesn't mean you're going down in big red candles. Doesn't mean 2 candles you're done. You guys got to understand how the price moves. It would just be like 2018. You're going to have rallies. You could bounce off here, guys. If we get some bullish momentum, we could be bouncing up, going all the way up. You could make a new all-time high. You have to understand, you know, people, I saw a couple of comments today when I was getting to the house. I saw a couple of comments saying, oh, Wyckoff is bullshit. Well, then you don't understand what Wyckoff is. Wyckoff is a price cycle. You're always in Wyckoff. You are in accumulation, markup, distribution, markdown, okay? Sideways markets are distribution or accumulation, and then you have markup and markdown. Price doesn't move because of Wyckoff. Wyckoff is showing you as an overlay what price is doing if it holds certain support levels and breaks certain resistance levels. Big misunderstandings about how Wyckoff actually works, okay? So you're always in Wyckoff. You're either moving, flowing from one box to another box. This box clearly has become distribution at this point, okay? Could it come back to accumulation? Most likely would be accumulating at a lower level. We have to see what happens here when Bitcoin does come down to 32,973. You could get some moves up, you know, get another little bull trap in there, come back down. All the steps are going to repeat again. This is a weekly time frame, so there's not a lot of candles here. But all the steps are going to repeat again, and you're either going to lose your key support, which already I'm telling you is 32,973. You're either going to lose that key support and start descending further. You're going to have waves up and down, waves up and down. This is all part of trading, guys. So let's look at where we are now in the daily time frame. So guys, I showed you this pattern. We traded this pattern in the room, the black swan pattern. We got in this trade down here at 39.6. This ended up popping up to 44.4 roughly. So it's a nice 5,000 point move. So it was a good 5,000 point trade. However, we did not get that type 2 reaction with the NASDAQ dumping. As you can see, boom, we descended further. But let's go ahead and advance this to this clearer stage here. This is still a daily time frame, guys. But let's get some projections here and see how these fibs are laying out, okay? So we need to look at this a couple different ways and see what's going on here. So if we know that price is coming down potentially to test, where is it? To test, God, wrong chart. 32,973. So let's go look at 32,973, okay? Let's get these projections real quick. So we got to draw this really quickly. And let's see what our upside looks like from 32,973. Get this. You see the 32,973? It's right there. So now if we do our trend, if we assume if we assume price is going to come down to 32,973, and let's get an uptrend. Let's see what an uptrend would look like. And actually, if it hits that 32,973, let's see what our key resistances are based off this number, assuming we can hit it, okay? All right. Sorry if that's confusing, but let me go ahead and get rid of this other one, and then it won't be confusing. Boom. Okay. So we're assuming we're coming down to 32,973, this gray line right here, okay? So then your key resistance is moving back up. Again, so this would be price. Let me draw this. Let's draw this. Where is my path? There we go. So price descends a little bit more. Price comes up. It's going to be coming up in waves, making shapes, all that stuff you guys know, okay? We could come down to 382. We could falter there. We could descend further. We could come up to the 0.5. We come up to 618. Can you get past the 618? Look at these numbers, okay? So these numbers are 48,405 for the 382. Look at the candle resistance you have here. 0.5 at 53,164. Again, you're just looking at some of the resistance areas right here. And the 618 at 57,923 puts you back up here. Can you get back on top of that? This is all going to depend on buying and selling, demand and supply in the marketplace, okay? No TA in the world is going to tell you you can definitely do this or you cannot do this, okay? We know the steps we have to follow to have a sustained rise up. These steps will repeat it right here. You guys can see that in the Wyckoff steps that we previously did with Bitcoin. You can see we had a selling climax. We went through the steps. We had our up thrust, had our 12,000 point descent. We had our soft rollover, which is what we were waiting for. And we got this spring. After the nice death cross here, we got this nice spring, nice sign of strength, okay? People didn't think it was going higher than this. Boom, sign of strength again. Then a big selling climax candle. This is your reaccumulation box. Bitcoin can do all these steps again. There's nothing saying that it can't, but you always have to look at both sides of the coin, okay? So yes, if we repeat some of these steps, we come up, we exit our trading range, which we haven't bottomed yet, guys. So that's why I'm just talking in hypotheticals. We got to have a bottom. This candle where we are right now is not the bottom. I can tell you that by looking at the candle, okay? Let me show you some things you want to look at here. So when you're looking for a selling climax candle, it's going to print you a new distribution or a new accumulation box. Look at the shadow. Look at that wick. You see that? You want a strong, a long shadow on this candle because you want strong demand pushing price up. That's how you establish this range that Bitcoin was trading in, okay? You don't have that here. You got a little baby wick, just like this little baby wick, which is why you got this big red candle, okay? Again, over here in this reaccumulation box, strong demand. You want to see strong demand step in. That's how you can know when you're definitely going to be holding support. We don't have that, which is why we're going down to that 1618, okay? And you can see it over here. Let me pull this over so you guys can see this a little bit better, okay? Let me zoom in some. Looking at the shadows, guys, that's the wicks, okay? Look at your selling climax candle. Big demand wick here. Selling climax candle in your down thrust. Big demand here. You want to see right here on your reaccumulation box, see the big shadow? You want to see that when you're establishing a range and of course where we just were. Very important to see that. We don't have that yet. Doesn't mean that price won't go up. Doesn't mean price won't fluctuate. But this is why I think we're coming down to that 32,973. The weekly has been extremely accurate. Always zoom out. Use your fibs on the larger time frames, okay? Looking at the largest waves, the big impulse waves in Bitcoin's bull run, okay? I'm not looking at the tiny waves. Those are good if you want to use a scalpel and figure out price action, but I'm looking at the big projections based on the pre-established waves, and they tell me we're coming down to this gray line down here. So if we come down here, and again, we make some type of support level, we got to see what happens when we come down here. We're just going to fall through it. Again, very bearish if we do that, okay? If we just fall through it like this, or we're going to hold it and start having the price complete its steps, just like it did here. Have some type of climax, have a ceiling, have a base, have an upthrust, and then not get the sign of weakness, okay? We got a sign of weakness instead of what we needed, which was that soft rollover in the spring. And it's all because of what happened with the NASDAQ, okay? If the NASDAQ didn't do that, then you wouldn't have had that problem with Bitcoin. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame. Let's look at some more zoomed in TA. Just looking at my trend channels. Let's see what everything's showing us here on the 4-hour time frame. Again, losing the median line here in the trend, which means you're more likely to come test the base. This is not a Fibonacci trend channel, but you know, again, that base is way down here if you came down this way. So that's like 25K. But we got to see what happens at 32, guys. We got to hold 32. And if the NASDAQ is really nasty next week, there's going to be a rebound at some point, okay? Markets always rebound at some point, whether it's a dead cat bounce or it's a prolific rebound that holds support and moves up is yet to be seen. But this is what we have right now. So let's go ahead and look at let's see where Ichi is. I mean, everything's going to be above us because of the dump, the sell-off. Yeah, our moving averages are above us. We're getting a thicker cloud now. So again, everything's going to be very bearish, guys. But just, you know, you can't look at crypto in a vacuum. You got to understand how it's tied to the other marketplaces, okay? These are the same financial institutions investing in every single marketplace. It's not just crypto. So we have to see what happens with holding our key support structure once we get down to that 32 level. And again, obviously the markets aren't open until Monday. So we have to really see what happens with those markets. If they're going to continue to go red, they're going to continue to go red. Things could get worse for Bitcoin. Bitcoin was delayed in falling. Okay, it was delayed in falling, but it fell, and it fell pretty hard. So remember, everything that happens in those markets is magnified in the crypto market. So Bitcoin moves like an altcoin to what the NASDAQ does. Okay, it moves like an altcoin. Since June, I showed you that before, they track extremely closely together. So you have to be aware of that. Let me see if I can actually, let me go ahead and throw that on here real quick. Here, I have it right here. Remember, the movements are going to be much, much less pronounced because these are smaller percentages, but these percentages are magnified in Bitcoin. You can see the dip right here. You have your dip in NASDAQ, dip down. And you can see all the movements almost identical when it plateaus, when it starts falling down. You can see the decline right here, going all the way down, and look what the NASDAQ's doing, look what Bitcoin's doing, okay? It's never going to be candle for candle. This is obviously a line chart. It's never going to be candle for candle, but you got to understand the correlation between the NASDAQ and Bitcoin. These banks view Bitcoin like a digital tech asset, okay? So watch the NASDAQ. You'll understand the health and welfare of Bitcoin. And of course, guys, we got to hold 32,973 is your key support level. We don't have a lot of candles yet to really tell you what's happening as far as the 4-hour time frame, the daily time frame. I'm not impressed by the demand here at this level. That's a very, very small shadow on this candle. That is not a big, strong shadow like this that shows strong demand. So we're coming down a little bit more, okay? And if we do come down a little bit more, we just got to be careful. Got to be very careful, because if we drop below that 1618 down here, oops, we drop below this 1618, next stop, oh, I'm not sorry. If we drop below the 1 fib, we go to the 1618. That's your 10,630. And again, that would just be series of lower highs. And I would expect a substantial rally at some point, okay? But you want to hold that 1 fib. You want to hold that 1 fib. We've got to keep the volatility going. And it just gives you more of an ability to have a stronger, more prolific move up. And like I said, guys, no TA can predict buying and selling market sentiment. You know, you got a war potentially breaking out in Eastern Europe. You have a lot of different things going on. You got market taper. So you have the Fed pulling out billions of dollars out of the stock market. Lots of things. You have raging inflation. So what you have to do is look at everything. Look at the probabilities of everything. Nothing is certain. You have to understand probabilities. Right now, I can tell you, we need to hold 32,973 to have any chance at all of moving back up to significant highs, because the likelihood of coming back up just to hit a fib and come back down is much more likely on a dead cat bounce with the NASDAQ bleeding like it is. If the NASDAQ rallies and goes up, Bitcoin's going to rally and go up, and then it all becomes a matter of holding key support if we can do that, guys. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I don't normally make videos on Sunday, but this weekend I will, because I missed a video yesterday. So we'll cover this. We'll let you guys know what's going on. Be aware, it is a low volume weekend, guys. Low volume weekend is anything can happen in crypto and low volume weekend, guys. All right, take care. Happy trading, everybody.